Peace to all of the kings and queens that's out there. It's your brother, 13th letter to the cipher, back at you again with some more Black history, more information for the upliftment of you, your family, your friends, your neighborhood. So by all means, if there's anything that I have specified in any of my prior videos or in this one, make sure by all means you press that subscribe button, okay? I appreciate that, family. How you all doing today? Well, today I'm off, enjoying it as well, okay? So here I am. I got a little time and I wanted to just drop something on you. By the way, did you all look up that maritime admiralty law? If you all haven't, that's something that I highly suggest that you look into. And when you do use it, be fluent with it. Know it like the back of your hand, like those cars that you look at all day, ride up and down the street with the big rims going boom, boom, boom. Okay? So that's what you do. Because educating oneself is important. The education of your children is important. And before I get started, I want to send shots out to Lewis Lattimore. And for all of you who all don't know who Lewis Lattimore is, I did something on him a couple of, maybe 2 weeks ago in regards to actually two inventions. One is he actually made the blueprint for Alexander Graham's telephone. So it's safe to say that Mr. Alexander Graham Bell didn't make the telephone, but Lewis Lattimore did it. And secondly, it was about the miseducation that we have been taught in regards to Thomas Edison creating the light bulb when he didn't. It was Lewis Lattimore. You all need to research that, because education is very pertinent to our survival. So yes, I will be coming to you from an educational point of view. That's right, because education is our survival. And if you look at the education that we have received as a people through the public school systems of here in America, you tell me what those results are. I'm just saying, you think about that. Education. The very heart of education. Oh, by the way, I want to send another shout out to my brother, General Seti out there in Detroit, doing his thing. He's live right now as well. And he's doing a great piece on Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, and all of these pedophiles. So if you haven't tuned in to the brother, go check him out. Also, I want to send shots out to YP. Young Pharaoh did a great job uploading this video on evolution. But getting back to the situation here, education. And all of those who support me, I want to thank you, and I tip my hat to you as well. Couldn't leave you all out, because if it wasn't for you, this would not be happening, okay? But getting back to the education, because education is to maintain a social system. It is for the advancement of that nation, for that social system of that nation, and to protect the interests of that nation. That's education. Real education. Real education when you think like rulers of a world or of a nation, because that's how white people think. That's how the Arab thinks. That's how the Chinese think. That's how all of these people who are running nations besides us are thinking. Okay, and it's done through education. When we see that educating our children is when we see that educating them is just not for some social advancement or for their own individual income advancement, but also when we educate them for survival and see the importance of it, then you will see the drowning of or the dumbing down of the children that we currently see in this education system. I promise you, as in the words of the master teachers, meaning Dr. John Henry Clark, meaning Elijah Muhammad, and meaning Marcus Garvey, when they told us to educate ourselves, and if we don't, we will surely die. If we don't do what other nations are doing, we will surely die. Now, if you can't get your head out of your television or out of your PS4 or out of your Xbox, then you are a straight fuckhead. If you can't take out that time, 30 minutes to an hour, and educate our children, then you are worthless to nation building. That's exactly what I'm saying. And all of you OGs out there that's hooked on drugs, it's time for you to get unhooked, because we need you to help, goddamn it, educate these kids. And I'm not talking about educating them in the Anglo-Saxon version. They already had enough of that. And as I specified earlier, what's the result of that education, of the Anglo-Saxon education that you receive and that they receive? Because it's really no different. In fact, it's worse today. Okay? Half of them can't read. The other half can't write and know nothing of themselves or their history or what their ancestors had accomplished. So they have no idea of what they can become or do, nor recognize their potential, which consequently only allows them to see the greatness of the Caucasian, the greatness of the Chinese, the greatness of the Arabs, the greatness of all European nations, the greatness of India, but no greatness of ourselves. You talk about Obama, well, and Michelle, well, guess what? They didn't do anything for us. They did everything for the LGBT community. They did everything for the Chinese. They did everything for the Hispanics. They did everything for the Koreans. They did everything for everybody except you. In fact, I can't recall how many black people got killed by police on Obama's watch, and he did nothing about it. You think that you elected him? They selected him. You didn't elect him. You see how you've been miseducated? The Electoral College elects the president, not you, you damn fool. They got you sitting around here talking about reparations and how they've mainstreamed you. They've only mainstreamed black people for their money. That's it. And I tell you, according to the majority of the whites here that's in America, they still consider you a nigga. And if you ain't got reparations in all of this time, guess what? You won't get them. The United States is broke, okay? Educate your kids on that shit, okay? Listen to me good. Those nations who do not properly educate their children merely just for an education that those people, meaning us, if we just educate our children as a means to prepare them for a job or an individual social advancement and not for a whole, we're going to be destroyed. If just look at the world history, okay? Just look at the world history or literature. Excuse me, not literature, just world history. And you, black man and black woman, are a people of a nation within a nation. And what has been your status in this nation from the education that you receive? You can still receive a PhD and you're still a nigga. I've been to the military. I've got a college degree and all of that shit, and I'm still a nigga. Do you understand me? Do you understand me? This is real talk today. Shit is getting real serious, real fast, and most of us got our heads up our ass, and we don't see what's going on, but yet we say that we educated. And as long as you continue to think the way that you are thinking, you will stay exactly that which they have defined us to be. Their education keeps us groveling at their feet for life necessities, just for the necessities of life. That's what their education does for us. Just think, if the white man doesn't make tissue, if he stops providing tissue, if he stops providing toothpaste, if he stops providing deodorant for us, you understand, we are fucked. You understand? Shoestrings, Pampers for the babies. And y'all think this is a joke. It's not a fucking joke. Just think about that. Now, we say that we are educated. And I'm going to show you just how much that this education has dumbed us down. We say we got business degrees, yet we don't have any businesses. We say that we got an economic degree or an accounting degree, but we're not counting anything for us. We say we have an engineering degree, but we're not building anything for ourselves whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever. What are we building for ourselves? Nothing. And as I told you before, which I just explained to you, education of the Anglo-Saxon will make you dumb. Just look at just what I just said. When you look at the Russians, when you look at the Chinese, and you look at the Europeans and the Arabs, all of them are realists. They are realists, and they are educating their children for the future. If you pay close attention, nations are reorganizing what? Their economy and education. Why education? Because education is the heart of any nation and their traditions. Now, what traditions do you have? I'm just saying. When you look at education as the survival tool, as your nation, as your people survival tool versus a Bible and a Quran, which they gave you, and that lie about Jesus, then you will get off your ass to help educate these kids. You don't need a college degree from your higher liar validator. All you need is your experience being here and in America as a black man and a black woman. That would be a great start for us. But we have to get us off drugs. We have to get out the prostitution in our communities. We have to do that. Once we do that, everything else will follow as it should. It is only until you see the vitality and importance of educating our children that we will develop a base for it. You understand? Because too often we base the quality of education that we will receive based upon the reputation of the school. We look at Howard, we look at Yale, we look at Princeton, where all of those higher liars sit, and we assume that that's where the good education is at. And when we think, and when we get those degrees from their schools, we think that we do have a superior or higher education. But we must understand that what is a good education today is not a good education tomorrow. I'm just saying, look at when you went to school. I'm 50 years old. So when I went to school for something, it may be obsolete right now due to technology. So education changes. It depends on the education that you receive or the education that you give. But when you understand that it is the focus of survival, then that will become your center focus of education. And when you establish that education, you judge that education based upon what it has contributed to the building of that nation. And then you look at it, and when you look at it from that aspect, then you will see that what you called education is actually miseducation. And as I mentioned in the prior video, that if the world depends upon Black people across the globe to be in a false reality and being ignorant of themselves, then it is safe to say that education, with all of these degrees, has made us ignorant, because we don't even see the own value of our own self. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I say, we got all of these business degrees, but no businesses. The more education that we receive, the more dumber we become. Now, ignorance just doesn't depend on, like, meaning having no knowledge. No. Ignorance could also mean having the wrong type of knowledge. So we just can't look at education as being some type of an accumulative knowledge, but a knowledge that will fuel the atmosphere for the upliftment and minds and hearts and spirit of our people. That's what we have to see. By the people, for the people. And if you can't clearly see that, you are the reason why that I'm here on this YouTube today speaking to you, because if you don't see it, you're what, family? Tell them what they are. Maladjusted. I can clearly see what the master teacher said. I can clearly see that. What Elijah Muhammad said, what Marcus Garvey said, what Dr. John Henry Clark said. If we don't get out, we will burn with them. If we don't get out, we will burn with them. And if you know history like I know history, you know that when white people have no more use for you, they will kill you. Just think about that. That's their history. That's just not what I'm saying. That's their history. And if you think I'm lying, you need to read some more history. You need to do some more fucking research. If you really don't understand that, we need to get our shit together, man. Straight up. We need to get our shit together. And we can do that by, like I said, get the fuck unhooked off drugs. All of our Black men are on drugs or they locked up. Don't that bother you? Don't that bother you? People get out of prison and they go sell drugs. But with the drug money that they receive, they don't do nothing with it. They don't do nothing with it. They don't clean it. They don't know how to clean it. They ain't got nobody to give it to, because ain't nobody that look like them got no businesses in the fucking community. Excuse me, neighborhood. And it's neighborhood because communities run things. And we don't run shit in our neighborhoods, as in what some white people call the nigger box. I'm just saying. Some white people call the hood the nigger box. I'm just saying. And all of that which I just said in regards to education, you don't have to believe me, because as in the words of Dick Gregory, truth does not have to be verified by ignorance. I'm just saying. So even when we in school, we learn a little of this, but we don't learn a little of that. So we're getting smarter in one aspect, but that which we should be getting smarter in, we're not getting smarter in, we're getting dumber in. In what way does education help sustain the nation as a people? What way? If you believe it or not, white people who run this world are the minority. White people who run this world are the minority of the whole entire world. They actually compose like 10% of the population of the world, but they control the other 90% of the world. And how is that done? How is that done? Through maladjustment, through manipulation, through intimidation, and education, aka brainwashing. That's how it's done. Am I the only one not understanding this math here, or once again, am I crazy? I'm just saying, how can 10% rule 90% all of this time? Through education, through lies and deceit. And these are the very same people that we send our kids to school to be taught and educated by. It amazes me to see how we sit in the classroom to be made ignorant. And that is the education system of today. And just from my standpoint, I find it very pathetic to find out people who are in so-called authoritative positions after they've been educated to mislead the people. I find that to be very pathetic. When you understand that education is vital to your people's survival, you cannot duplicate the education of the little white boy and then give it to the little black boy. You can't do that, because the destiny of that little white boy and the destiny of that little black boy is different. They have two different destinies. Even Martin Luther King said that he had integrated his people into a burning house, meaning he fucked up. I'm just saying. And he was well educated. I'm just saying. And yes, he was a Mason. I'm just saying. Now, the little white boy's destiny, I'll get to that in a minute. No, I'm going to tell you now. But the little white boy's destiny is to maintain the present social system. Also continue the advancement of its people, meaning we have to stay on top of Russia. We have to stay over top of China over here. We have to stay on top of whoever. And we must maintain the privileges and white folks' privileges. That's the little white boy's destiny, is to maintain that system, to maintain their privilegesness. And to continue to run the same current social system or structure that is presently running. If not the same, worse. That's the little white boy's destiny. I'm telling you. And we either are going to have to change this current system, or we're going to have to change the condition around that which we educate ourselves. And from my standpoint, again, the latter of which we are most definitely responsible for, because we have the resources to do that. We blow it on bullshit every day. You see that, I see that. I mean, just think if 10 people on the block just decide to have some type of black educational class outside of the public school when their kids get home, that you can start educating them in your basement. You can start educating them in your homes, in your apartments. You have to do that. But in order to do that, you have to get your shit together. This is another reason why the young people don't respect the old people, because the young people see that a lot of the older people are fucked up and they can't even see their way out. So if they can't see their way out, how are they going to lead them out? What are they going to leave them with? Look at what we are leaving these young black men and young black women with. Look at the environment that we are leaving them with. When you don't see the vitality of education for our children, then you have become an enemy to the success of us, of your own fucking people. In other words, the education of the little black boy that I was telling you about earlier, the education of that little black boy and the education of the adult male today is not suitable for war. But the destiny of that little black boy, his destiny is to be revolutionized. He has to be revolutionized. Revolution means change. You don't have to physically harm anybody because a person says revolution. That's what the white folks got you thinking. Because when most people hear the word revolution, they get scared. They walk away from you. They turn away from you, not even really knowing what the fuck it really means. It just means change. And if you sit back and you can't change the way that your child is learning because you too fucking lazy to do it your own goddamn self, then you don't need to have no fucking kids, straight up. Because they're teaching your kids garbage. How do I know? I do it for a living. They teach your kids garbage every fucking day. And you don't see nothing wrong with that. You don't see nothing wrong with that. And that's sad. Until you have a revolutionized mind, you will be content with the crack selling that's going on right outside your door. Until you have a revolutionized mind, you will be fine with continuously fixing the fix of the junkie, the heroin junkie. You will be content with that until your mind is revolutionized. Because when your mind becomes revolutionized, the prostitution is not okay. The homosexuality is not okay. The pedophilia of our children is not okay. Images that you see of black men on television is hurting. It's hurting and dumbing down the mind of not only black little boys, but also dumbing down the minds of adult black men and women. And that's a shame. And the same, as I said, goes with the music that you listen to. The record labels don't want any positivity in the music, okay? They don't want that. Ever since the 90s, it left, okay? It left. You have a few, very few, and KRS-One is still one of them, very few, that's still dropping real messages in the music. You look at the Chinese and their music, they don't call a woman bitch. You look at the Arabs' music and you listen to it, they don't call a woman bitch. They don't talk about selling drugs. They don't talk about robbing motherfuckers. They don't talk about look at their cars and their rims. They don't talk about that shit because that's exactly what it is, shit. And this is what they want you to listen to. And you with your foolish self go out and buy that shit. Maladjusted. You don't see their women twerking their ass, looking naked just to get some attention. Black woman, if you can't get some attention with your fucking mind, you need to go and lock yourself in a room and go educate your goddamn self and find you a black man out there who is of your same frequency. Other than that, you are no good for him and he is no good for you because we are continuously not doing anything. How can the blind lead the blind? I'm just saying. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said that black men and black women should not even have children until they're around 35 years old. Okay? And if you're not familiar with Mother Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, I highly recommend that you acquaint yourself with this woman. She is the black genius woman of this century for us. I'm just saying. And by the way, yes, she passed away a couple of years ago. But she has a lot of material out there for you. So you need to get off your ass, get out that television, get off of that PS4 and that Xbox, and do some fucking research on how you can help educate our children. Because if you can't help educate our children, you are part of the fucking problem. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And remember, I told you that the education that we have is not suitable for war. Because I tell you that when we do start cleaning up our neighborhoods, when we do get off the heroin, when we do get off the crack, we're going to have a problem with the police. That's right. Because we're putting them out of business. That's war. That's war. When you have all of these business degrees, once again, and you have everybody else in your neighborhood running the businesses, that's war. That's economic war. Do you understand? If you don't understand, you are most definitely what we call not maladjusted, just plain fucked up. Straight up. And that's the way that works. It's war on you economically and has been that way. Sad. We need self-education. We need self-love. We need nation building. And I'm not talking about no Nation of Islam either. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about screw the religion shit. We're not talking about literature. We're talking about survival, okay? And there's no Bible. There's no Quran. There's no Circle 7. There's no book. You understand? There's no book that can help us out of this situation. You understand what I'm saying? We as a whole have to use that which the Creator gave us, which is our mind, which people have robbed us of, the common sense and of our own intelligence. And you are too silly still to see that you have been robbed of your common sense and your own intelligence. And it is causing you to be in the condition that you're in. And you can't see that. But you keep on supporting them. You keep on doing that. And you and your children and me and my children and your cousin and his children and your aunt and her children and their children will die. Do you understand that? We will die. And we're dying right now. If you liked anything that I've said, by all means, press the subscribe button. I want to thank you all for watching. There will be a part 2 to this, maybe all this week, but we will be back with more reasons of why education and educating our children is vital, very pertinent to our survival. You think about that. Thanks for watching. And by all means, stay away from the popo. Don't drink and drive. Have some love, respect, truth, and honor for yourself and among yourselves. Peace.